If you've been a listener for a while, you know how I feel about passion projects, that they are perhaps the greatest waste of time and the greatest misdirection in admissions. Hello, and welcome to the Admittedly podcast. My name is Thomas Caleel. I'm the former director of MBA admissions and financial aid for my alma mater, the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. In this podcast, I don't promise easy answers or quick fixes, but I will use my decades of experience to help you achieve your education goals. Now let's get started. Hello, and welcome to the Admittedly podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Caleel, and today we're going to talk about something you hear me talk about often, and it's the passion project. If you've been a listener for a while, you know how I feel about passion projects, that they are perhaps the greatest waste of time and the greatest misdirection in admissions. So why am I talking about them again? Well, it's very simple, because in the comments, in the DMs, I'm seeing a lot of people talk about their passion project. They're talking about how they need to do one, how they feel left out without one. And I think it's really time to revisit this because it's critical as we head into summer. So if you're a freshman, sophomore, or even a junior, listen close. Now, first thing I want to do is define what a passion project is. And where we see it usually defined by students on our social media at Admittedly Co. Or other places is it's something that you kind of generate for the sole purpose of admissions. And so what happens? You start a nonprofit, you start a website, you send some emails, you have a bake sale, maybe you solicit funding from your parents and friends, and you raise a little bit of money, okay? It's great that you're doing that. And I've said this often, like I'm never going to say no to somebody who raises money and contributes to a cause that they really feel excited about and care about. And so look, that's a great thing. And if you're donating your time, that's great. The problem comes when you're building this website that's maybe one or two layers deep. The passion project really, it might relate to something that you're doing, but quite frankly, it's something you started in high school, and admissions officers, they just see you coming. Right. And they look at that and they're like, oh my gosh, this is a wasted opportunity because this person is smart. This person is interesting. They really care about things, but this feels very performative. And I know that a lot of applicants sit there and they think, oh, well, they won't catch me. They won't know. But quite frankly, this is what admissions officers do day in, day out. And there's so many touch points in the application that they will get a sense, right? They don't need to prove it all the way to the ground. If they get a sense that your passion project is just that, a passion project and performative, it's going to count against you. It's really not adding anything because especially if you're starting a nonprofit, for example, you're being stacked up against the students who really did start a nonprofit and that's their motivation. That's what they're focused on. That's what they care about. And you are going to come up woefully short. Now you've just put yourself at a big disadvantage because as the admissions officer is reviewing these files of students who have started nonprofits, they're going to see, well, I mean, you have all the other things, you just don't measure up in this pool, and that can lead you to a denial. So you've heard, you know how I feel about passion projects, but then what should you do? And what I'm going to do is make a distinction here. It's going to seem like semantics, but it's very important. Don't do a passion project. Do something that you are passionate about. What do I mean? I mean, take something that you genuinely care about. It can be related to your field of study. It can have nothing to do with your field of study. It can be something that you just truly wake up every day and it's on your mind and you want to do something about it. And go out and make a difference. Do something interesting. Is it easy to do that? No. Is it easy to come up with that idea? No. Is it hard to execute it consistently over time? Absolutely. But if you listen to my last podcast, you'll note that I've said hard things are hard. This process is hard and there's no shortcuts, right? I get a lot of heat in social media on comments about how I personally, apparently, am demanding that these children ruin their childhood for the sake of impressing me. And that's really not the case, right? What I advocate constantly is doing less things, but doing them intentionally and doing them well. So how do you do less things intentionally? Well, instead of layering on some passion project that you're doing for the sake of putting information in the Common App, you're doing something that comes from a genuine love. Let me give you an example. Several examples, actually. I had a student who was very much into surfing. She loved surfing. It was something very important to her. Her friends were surfers. And she was also very interested in the environment. So we started talking and she said, I think what I'm going to do is start a nonprofit focused on ocean and beach cleanup. I was like, well, there's a great one called Heal the Ocean. And there's a local chapter right by you, and they definitely go out to where your local surf break is. Get involved with them first. See if that works for you. And, she was able to do that. She was able to take the time she would have spent performatively trying to start a new nonprofit that was doing exactly what this well-established, well-funded nonprofit would do. And she really leaned into it. She got her friends involved. And the result was she was able to go do what she loved, which was surfing. She was able to do things with her friends. And she was able to make an impact on the beach and an environment that means so much to her. Now, which example do you think would resonate more to an admissions officer, right? She got a letter from the head of the chapter saying that she was just an amazing volunteer. They'd never had anybody with her energy and passion and focus, and that she'd made changes and really brought new people in and energized this smaller club. That was something that allowed her to get into one or two of her reach schools and really, really changed a good part of the trajectory of her academic journey. Another one, had a student who was looking to be a business major. And I've talked a lot about business and how hard it is to stand out in that major. But this young man he was an athlete. He loved playing sports. He came from a background of relative privilege. And his mother sent him out to clean out the garage one day. And one of those, listen, I'm tired of asking you, go clean out the garage. Okay, so he goes out there and he's kind of mucking about and moving boxes around. And he's like, gosh, I have all this sports equipment that I've outgrown and barely used, and some sports that I tried I didn't like. He's like, I wonder what I could do with all this equipment. So he went down to the local high school and was like, hey, coach, do you need this? Local public high school, do you need this equipment? And the coach was like, yeah, we would love that equipment. So he went back, he cleaned it up, he reconditioned it, he donated it, and he started talking to his friends. His friends were like, oh man, we have a lot of that stuff too in our garages. And so he organized his friends, eventually organized the school. They did regular equipment drives throughout the city. They expanded to about a dozen other schools across the state and across the country. And he built this very powerful nonprofit that many other students now are involved in, imitating. He built a board, he built a transition plan. So when he approached his first choice schools, he was able to say, listen, this is something I've been working on now for 3 years. We've donated X amount of dollars worth of equipment. We've impacted this many students. We've got this many schools involved. We have this many volunteers. I have a board in place. We have officers in place for the next year. We're training them. That is a meaningful extracurricular activity and something he is passionate about. Ended up getting into his first choice school, which is Haas Undergrad Business School at Berkeley, with a full presidential scholarship. So really helped him stand out, really helped him distinguish himself in a very, very crowded pool. Another student that you've heard me talk about was a student who was in Hong Kong, very competitive private high school, and was on a STEM track and was doing some volunteer work in Cambodia, met this women's collective who was growing these particular peppers and trying to sell them to raise money to alleviate period poverty and improve the life of women in their little village and town. And it resonated with her. She was never able to explain why, but it really resonated with her. And she took to it with a fever. She built them a website. She began marketing their products. She got herself on podcasts, on TV, on radio, in the newspaper. She became the Pepper Girl. in Hong Kong. And it was something that was so powerful for her, in fact, that she ended up switching from STEM to international relations because she wanted to work in the nonprofit sector, in the kind of like global NGO world, and help other people like these women around the world. And it was something she deeply cared about. She had amazing letters of recommendation. She had an amazing portfolio of press that she could turn to show, hey, this is something that actually did change the direction of my life. I still love coding. I still love computer science. I still use it to optimize a website and understand, how to optimize our Instagram presence and other sales venues. But this is where I choose to spend my time. Early decision to pen for them. But now I hear a lot of you, I can hear you thinking, you're thinking, okay, well, this all costs money, Thomas, and it's great if you have privilege, but what if you don't? Well, I work with a lot of low-income pro bono students. Some of them are first gen, some of them are not. But let me give you a great example. I had a young man who was deeply passionate about horses and riding, and he couldn't afford it, right? This is not somebody who has a show jumper and is traveling the country showing. This was somebody who was like, okay, I need to work. I need a job, but I also like horses. So I wonder if I can combine those two things. So he approached a local stable, offered to work and train horses in exchange for the opportunity to ride and show. And they said yes. So this young man was working from about 5 a.m. till 5 p.m. every day, and doing the dirty work, lugging hay bales, cleaning stalls, brushing horses, giving lessons, unglamorous work. I grew up taking care of horses at a barn, and it is dirty, hot, tiring, exhausting, deeply rewarding work. But what it did was it really gave him a story, and it gave him a unique approach to life and showed tenacity, grit, resilience. He saved up his money, the money he didn't have to use to help support the family. He bought a horse for very little money, trained it, showed it, sold it, and made money there that he's using to help support his college dreams. So this is not something that is exclusively for privilege. It's not something you do because you have money. It's something you do because you have drive, because you have the will to change something, the desire to change something. And when I get people in the comments of social media coming after me, I really say to them, listen, these young men and women, these young students who make it to these highly selective universities, they are truly extraordinary. They look around them and they see things in the world that they want to change, and they go do their best to do it. Now, there are plenty of amazing, highly accomplished, very driven young men and women who don't make it every year. Absolutely. I understand that. It's very frustrating. It can be very, very frustrating. But certainly, if you are pursuing deeply those things you are passionate about, you are showing a side of yourself, right? You are showing courage. You are showing vulnerability to put yourself out there, to take risks. And by the way, sometimes these projects that you're passionate about are not successful, or they come from a place of non-success. Let me give you 2 examples. The first one was a student I've spoken about before. They were at a boarding school, and they ran afoul of the substance usage policy, got caught drinking. And it was very, very disruptive to this student's life. It really knocked them sideways. They really questioned a lot about themselves and their motivations and what they were doing. It affected them academically. And they had to fight back from that. They really had to go deep on that and learn a lot about themselves. And so finally, by senior year, they had not only dug deep and done the work themselves, but they had realized that a lot of their peers were struggling with a lot of the same issues, and they really had no outlet for it. And so they started a program at their school to provide a safe space for students to explore these issues, to talk with other students who had been through it, to talk with older students who can say, oh yes, I faced a similar challenge and this helped me, or you know what, I made a mistake when I faced that similar challenge. And it's a club that is very well regarded by the school now. It's doing great work. It's helping dozens and dozens of students every year. And they were able to turn that negative into a real and lasting impact on other people, got into their first choice school, especially when their counselor was aiming them about 2 tiers lower on schools, and is just immensely, immensely excited for this new chapter in their life. Second example, and a trigger warning here, had a student who experienced severe depression and tried to self-harm. And really through that experience came to realize a lot about themselves. And it was deeply traumatic for the parents. It was deeply traumatic for the student. But through that, they were able to realize some things and took that again forward and said, listen, I'm not the only one facing this, and I need to share my experience. I need to have the courage to speak about this, to share this with other students who might be in need, who might need that friendly voice, for whom my empathy might be a critical and deciding factor in their recovery. And so they did. They formed, again, a group at school. They expanded it and began speaking publicly about their experience and helping students outside their school, helping families, helping parents understand why their children might do this. And absolutely crushed it this year, achieved one of their extreme reach schools and on the wait list for another extreme reach. So what I want to make sure of is that, number one, you need to pursue things that are meaningful to you. They can line up with your academic interest. They cannot line up with your academic interest, but they have to say something about you. It can't be performative. It can't just be going through the motions. And I get it. You're super busy. You don't have a lot of time. And so what I want you to do, students, is step back and be critical. Look critically at the things you're doing, right? Which ones fill your cup and which ones drain it. Have the courage to take away those things that you know no longer serve you, so that you can put your effort into the things that matter to you. Admissions officers would much rather see a student with fewer things done well and meaningfully and with purpose than running around. And then what are you? You're exhausted. You're drained. You're not giving 100% to anything, not your academics, not your friends, not your family, not your extracurricular activities, your sports. These things matter. And this is what admissions officers are reading for: authenticity. When I talk about authenticity, it is that authentic execution of things that you say matter to you. We've got a lot more to say on this. And as we head into the summer, I want you all thinking very carefully about how you spend the most precious resources you have, and that is time. Be thoughtful, be intentional. Please tell me what you're working on. Tell me what you're considering. Tell me about the choices you're trying to make. Come to our social media at AdmittedlyCo on Instagram and TikTok. I very much want to hear from you. Make sure, please, that you attend my free monthly webinars. We've got a lot there. We do a lot of Q&A in those. A great opportunity for you as well to get a lot of free information. And thank you for following the podcast. Stay tuned. There's a lot more coming. At AdmittedlyCo on socials. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us today. Please take a moment to subscribe to the Admittedly podcast and download this episode. I welcome you to share your thoughts and questions with me. You can find us on social media at Admittedly Podcast. I look forward to continuing our journey together.